And this is how my grandfather taught me how to make cornbread in a cast iron skillet. Okay, first thing is you need to set the oven to 450 Fahrenheit. All right, let's see here, bake. $450. Okay, I've got everything out here that that you'll need for the recipe, and really it's only 3 things. I think it's 4 things. 4 things. You'll need milk. You'll need your cornbread mix. I use Martha White self-rising cornmeal mix. An interesting fact is that my grandfather was a lawyer for Martha White, and Martha White was the main sponsor of the Grand Ole Opry. You need any kind of vegetable oil will do the trick. And you need some eggs. The recipe calls for 1 egg, but I use 2. But the key to a good cornbread is that the cast iron skillet and the oil that is in it be very hot before you put the mix in. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of oil in there, and then we're going to stick it in the oven as the oven preheats, so that it heats up to the same temperature. When we put the cornmeal mix in, we want the skillet and the oil to be 450 degrees. Really, you should put quite a bit of oil. It's enough to cover the bottom of the pan with a thin film. And remember, the cornbread is going to sit in this oil, and it's going to fry in there. And that's what's going to give it a crunchy bottom, which is the key really to a good cornbread. All right, let's stick this thing in the oven. Now we're gonna mix up the cornbread, and I use the recipe that's on the back of the Martha White self-rising cornmeal mix. The only thing that I do differently here is that I use 2 eggs instead of 1 egg, and I put a little bit more than a quarter cup of vegetable oil. Again, the oil in there is kind of what makes the cornbread. Crucial. Okay, so here I've got my 2 cups of cornmeal mix, and I've got my liquid ingredients mixed up here as well. A couple of eggs beaten. I use about 1 1/4 cups of milk since I'm using an extra egg, and then you can see the oil there is kind of sitting on top of everything else, maybe a little bit more than a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna wait and mix these things together until my oven's preheated and I'm ready to go. Because you want to mix it together, you don't want to let it sit for too long, because the mix gets it gets a little bit stiff the longer it sits there. This is not part of the original recipe, but I like to cut up some Monterey Jack cheese in cubes and put them in the mix, and come out with a little cheesy in your cornbread. When you're about ready to take the skillet out of the oven and pour it in, and you'll combine the ingredients together. Mix them all up good. Nothing special about that. The oven's hot and the skillet's hot inside the oven, so I'm going to take this thing out. And it's really hot, so you want to make sure you're using a hot pad. Okay, and you can see the oil in there. All right, now I'm gonna grab my mix, and we're just gonna put it in there, and you can see how it sizzles. Okay. Once we put that all in there, grab it again, taking care, and put it in the oven. And it should cook for about 20 or 25 minutes. Alright, the cornbread's looking good, so we're going to take it out of the oven here. And that's about what it should look like. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a little piece here so you can kind of see what it looks like on the profile. And you can see it's got this little crust right here on the bottom, and that's what people like to eat. So that's the way you make a good southern cornbread in a cast iron skillet.